Should men hide the fact that they are bisexual from women who are heterosexual and desire relationships with straight men? Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I had recently done a post on the viral controversy on whether or not women are homophobic. Heterosexual women are homophobic if they don't want to date bisexual men. This commenter says the thing is that you don't know if a man is heterosexual or not. What if you find out way later? Is that a deal breaker and why? So I have some thoughts on this, but I also think this kind of questioning is weaponization of consent and is a very slippery slope into predatory behavior. Usually when someone is identifies themselves as being straight and they prefer a relationship with a straight man, that is something that you want to get out of the way first. And you have that on dating apps where you filter what you're looking for and what how you identify yourself in terms of your sexual orientation. Now, if you know that you're bisexual and you are approaching a heterosexual woman, that is something I do believe that you should discuss sooner than later. When you attempt to hide things, it's kind of going along the lines of like what that person doesn't know won't hurt them, or I want to get this person emotionally invested so that they could be, they could be overcome with emotions, and therefore they'll go along with whatever I'm presenting to them. That is weaponization of consent, as opposed to saying, you know what, here's what it is, um, you know, yay or nay, and going where you are wanted. I can't stress that enough. You got to go where you're wanted. It's kind of the same thing if I'm on a website and you see my pictures from, I don't know, like I'm on a dating app and I have pictures from like how many ever years ago when I was in high school, and I don't look like that anymore. I was like, significantly smaller, hair was longer and all that kind of stuff. And then this person shows up, and you can obviously tell that this is an old photo. I'm misrepresenting how I look. You are misrepresenting yourself to that woman, knowing what she was open and forthcoming about and what her expectations are. There are also women or people that are more than open to date bisexual men. And I think that is part of the harm of the down low community is when they take away the consent and they're living something, they're introducing people and ways of life that woman did not consent to, and the woman has to bear the burden of that secrecy. Essentially, it is a way of misrepresenting what the expectations are. If you're bi and you're okay with being bi, then be upfront about it. Let that be known, especially when you're meeting people on the dating apps and dating, on your dating profile, you can clearly label that now. But it's a very slippery slope where people are weaponizing consent. I'm married, and but I'm on the dating apps acting like I'm single. I'm poly, but I'm going to withhold that until you're emotionally invested in me. All of these things in which people are withholding. And while I do agree there are some things that are on a need to know basis, I don't think that this is one of them. When you are intentionally misleading someone, and when you know that they have this idea or they have this belief based on how you've represented yourself, when you are hiding something or you're being inauthentic, especially since there's such a huge community that will accept you as you are and that are okay with dating you as you are. If someone misleads you by lying about that and omitting that information, that absolutely should be a deal breaker And most people, at least that I know of, that are on the up and up and that are authentically leading with that, they let people know, like, hey, I really like you, but I identify as bisexual. Is that something you're okay with? And I wanna kind of let you know that, or I identify as pan or demi or whatever the case may be, and I really like you, and I want to, I just want to put that out there and see where we can go from here. Why is that so difficult to do? And why is that, like, not leading with that something that you would want to do, for even for yourself? When you lead authentically, you go where you're wanted. You don't have this problem. Why would you want to start off dating, and being inauthentic? If you're serious about dating and intentional about dating, you definitely want to put your best foot forward, and you want to start off with someone that wants you, and you want them, and it's not something you feel that you should have to hide in that way. If you do, that is a red flag, and it's not something that, you know, I imagine that people who have emotionally, financially, or physically invested, without knowing that information, would appreciate. It can also be a dangerous thing to do, if sex was on the line and other things were happening, where someone wasn't informed because they consented to, um, things that they didn't consent to, right? The consent was under false pretense, that there were things going on, there were things that had happened that they weren't aware of. It should also be, something that is mutual respect. Um, if you can't share that with somebody, if you can't share that aspect of yourself with someone, then you may not have mutual respect for that person, meaning you don't respect them, because you're not respectful of them, and just sort of having that respect, and then continuing to be open and honest, because is that how you want to lead your relationship? So I hope that helps. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, follow, and share. Thanks so much.